Hi, welcome to today's Yin practice. For today, you're gonna want a block or a thick sturdy book. Shoebox works just fine. A bolster or a pillow from your bed will work. And then I have a blanket strictly just to be cozy. Today's goal is going to be maximum comfort. So grab whatever clothes are most comfortable, whatever supports, whatever props you need with you to make yourself as cozy as possible. We're gonna get started in a reclined position, but we're gonna be lying prone, which is a little different. So we're gonna lie on our belly, and really you don't need any props here. You might want a blanket under your hips if your hips need a little bit support. But what you're gonna do, just make your way down to lying on your belly. You might bring your hands here, creating just a pillow with the back of your hands, resting your forehead here. Or you can fold your blanket and use your blanket as a bit of a support. I would caution against using your full-on pillow or your bolster, just because that's gonna be a little more of a back bend than we'd want to start. So get yourself comfortable. Hands resting either under your forehead or down by your sides, or even in like a field goal position. Eyes soften or close. And then settle in, just noticing your breath, feeling that rise and fall as you press into the mat beneath you and release. Start to bring awareness back to your breath. Add in some gentle movement, maybe bending one knee, one heel towards your glute, and then the other, just a slight stretch in those quads. As you're ready, press yourself up to a tabletop for just a moment. We're gonna set up for another prone position, really just an extension of that last pose. You'll want your bolster at about a quarter of the way down the mat. It's gonna be under your chest, and then possibly your blanket folded for a little support, or a block in front of you. You can decide what feels best once we get there. We're gonna be coming to a bow tie pose. So we'll have both arms in front of your body, creating space between your shoulder blades. So start to lower down. Bolster hitting at about your belly button under the rib cage. Of course, we can adjust the props here, but start with right arm reaching towards the left. Left arm reaches towards the right. And then notice if it's available for your forehead to go all the way towards your blanket, you're welcome to soften there. If the blanket feels far away, you can bring the block under your forehead. And maybe you'd like the block plus the softness of the blanket. If that's the case, just draping the blanket over the block. Of course, adjusting however you need to. The goal here is to create space between the shoulder blades. Soften into the pose. Give yourself 3 more rounds of breath right where you are. When that's complete, slowly engage your upper body, unwinding those arms, maybe coming to Sphinx or even that little cobra here for just a moment. Slight back bend, pressing away from the mat. And then other side, so you'll take your left arm first, reaching towards the right, and then right arm reaching towards the left in front, or whatever the opposite bow tie is for you. Then as you're ready, lower forehead down to the block. You might need to adjust on this side. It's likely you'll notice one side tighter than the other. As you're ready, breathe here. Check back in with your breath. Notice if your mind's wandered and just nudge it back to your practice. Slowly press yourself out of the shape. Pausing here, maybe that little back bend pressing into the mat, lifting the crown of your head. And then as you're ready, press up to a tabletop position. Once again, just to shift those props out of your way. Pausing here, we'll sink back to a child's pose for just a moment, not holding it for too long. Hips reach back towards your heels. And this is going to be a bit of a transition shape for us. So maybe you shift side to side, wiggling your hips here just a bit. Maybe your forehead rests on the mat and you rock it back and forth, rolling out across that forehead. And then as you're ready, inch your fingertips forward as far as you can, really stretching out your side body. Breathe in, breathe out. When that's complete, shift forward, and then make your way to a seated position as we set up for our final shape on both sides. Taking your bolster behind you. You may also want a block, setting the bolster up lengthwise. Block comes under the top of the bolster. Starting at its lowest setting, you might adjust it to its medium setting. Left hip hugs up to the bolster in your little mermaid stance, so knees are stacked here. Then walk your hands to either side of the bolster. Starting to lay down, you can start with your left cheek on the bolster, If this feels good, stay right here, or you'll twist. Right cheek comes to the bolster, bringing in a bit more of a twist. Pause wherever feels good. Breathe here. And check back in with your breath. When you're ready, slowly press yourself up to a seated position. And then either just shifting your body, so right hip is towards the bolster, or taking bolster to the other side of the mat. We'll set up here. Right hip press into the bolster. Walk your hands down the bolster, starting first with your right cheek on the mat. You might pause here or twist left cheek to the mat, settling in wherever feels good for you. Bringing awareness back to your breath. When you're ready, press away from the bolster, making your way to a seated position. Taking whichever leg you prefer in front, or really whatever seated position is most comfortable for you. If you'd prefer to close out your practice with a Shavasana, you are more than welcome. If you'd like to join for closing out in a seat, hands rest on your lap, slight squeeze between your shoulder blades, eyes soften or close. Challenging yourself here in these last few moments of practice to keep your spine long, crown of the head lifting up towards the sky, keeping the integrity of your seat, but also allowing your body to soften, holding these two opposing ideas, noticing what that feels like in your body, not expecting it to be perfect. Start here to increase the length of your inhales and exhales just a tiny bit. Noticing your breath start to slow and deepen. Give yourself a few rounds of breath, each exhale slightly longer than the last. Now taking a moment here to feel into some gratitude, maybe layering one hand over the other on top of your heart space. Thanking yourself for making time, showing up today, and allowing your body some time to rest. We'll close with a collective breath. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me today. Thank you for being part of this rad community, and I hope you have a wonderful day.